Curtis Selby's time, breaking down the stories every view will unwind. From left to right, we'll see the light. It's balance, we're chasing, no fighters fight. Curtis Selby talking straight. Let's hear both sides, let's communicate. Politics and reason, let's find the truth. Curtis Selby's here to bridge it for you. Debates, insights, it's all on the screen. Curtis Selby, keeping it keen. Hit subscribe, stay a while, let's dive in deep with Curtis Selby. The combos you need. The combos you need. Debates, insights, it's all on the screen. Curtis Selby, keeping it keen. Hit subscribe, stay a while, let's dive in deep with Curtis Selby. The convo's unique. Curtis Selby, talking it straight. Let's hear both sides, let's communicate. Politics and reason, let's find the truth. Curtis Selby's here to bridge it for you. Debates, insights, it's all on the screen. Curtis Selby, keeping it keen. Hit subscribe, stay a while, let's dive in deep with Curtis Selby. The combos you need. The combos you need. The combos you need.
Greetings, everyone. It is I, Curtis Selby, your tired midnight blogger. What blogs in this case at 1:19 p.m. Today has been kind of a little bit hectic, but we are going to do the third episode of my series on the Constitution. Today we're going to cover some more details about the Constitutional Convention itself. And if I have the time, which I hope I should, I intend to go about 2 hours, maybe a little less. But because I got to go to work at 3:30. But anyway, we will be reading a little bit about what's in the first article, if we have the time. So let's begin by saying hello to everyone in the chat. We have first person in here, Lizzie Armstrong. Always good to see you, and Fifi. Constitution Series Episode 3 for this show. Welcome, everybody. Nice to see you. It's always nice to see you, Lizzie. You and Fifi are just so beautiful. And John Potterero, welcome. One of the pillars of the community. Thank you so much. I don't know if I adequately thanked you for the last $9.99 super chat, but God bless you. Thank you so much. We have a Resolute Germ. Gonna try, as long as my schedule allows, to be going on with him on Wednesdays and watching Back to the Future cartoons or whatever he's wanting to watch, honestly. So welcome. Lizzie, 4:19 a.m. here in Northeast Australia, Sunday morning. A woman never sleeps. All right. Let's stop the music and we'll do a little bit of what some of your YouTubers call housekeeping. There we go. We have, as always, if you like the content, if you feel like I've earned it, please like, subscribe, share, all that spiffy stuff. Let people know this tired blogger guy is telling people about what's in the Constitution and why it matters and all that. I have a goal, as I usually do. I don't mean to be a money grubber. If we don't get it, we don't get it. That's okay. But if we get 5 super chats of any size, that will let me know that you guys are interested in doing a late night watch party at midnight. So maybe throw out some suggestions for a movie, and I'll try to set up a poll in about maybe 10 or 20 minutes of what we might watch at midnight if we get 5 super chats by the end of the stream of any size. Just don't kill yourselves. A 99-cent super chat is perfectly wonderful. I wish that YouTube gave us more flexibility. It's like I would like to have something where it was either just a raw dollar amount or something. But anyway, I guess I could just do one. But anyway, I like to challenge myself. What can I say? Maybe that's not great. Maybe who knows? But let's dive in. Let's talk about. We've already discussed how the Articles of Confederation were just extremely difficult to figure out who was responsible for what. It was pretty mealy mouthed. It was almost like your tired blogger trying to be a leader in the community. Well, I think so and so is really good at this, and so really thinks this about that, and I agree with them somewhat on this point, but I can see how they might think this and that. There wasn't a lot of clear cut, this is who does what. So they had a constitutional convention supposedly to amend it, but in the end they decided to just simply replace it. My sources are going to be NPS, the National Park Service.gov, and Britannica.com. I'm kind of probably going to ping pong back and forth between them, and then I'll start if we have the time. If it hasn't taken 2 hours, I'll dive into Article 1 of the Constitution itself, and then we'll pick up on the 4th episode, which will hopefully be next Saturday or somewhere thereabouts. All righty, so Britannica.com. No, actually, the ParkService.com, Constitutional Convention of 1787. There were many conflicts and there were many compromises. When people tell me stuff like, we're not willing to compromise with fill in the blank, whether it's Biden, whether it's Trump, whether it's Kamala, it's not very long before I just turn off and stop listening to you, because if the founding fathers had been that way, we basically would have lost our country. They had to find ways to compromise on very difficult subjects. I would suggest that slavery alone was a subject that was difficult, much more difficult than pretty nearly anything that we're dealing with today. You have something that is obviously, even to them, was obviously morally reprehensible, but it was so ingrained into so many economies, not just the United States economy, but lots of other economies in the world, that people felt like it just wasn't feasible. It wasn't, as they say, expedient to get rid of it. Conflicts and compromises. This look at the Constitutional Convention provides a glimpse into the debates that resulted in an enduring framework of government. You can read day-by-day entries recorded of the proposals, conflicts, and compromises the men struggled to live up to the resolution that had called them to Philadelphia to, quote, render the Constitution of the federal government adequate to the exigencies of the Union. I'm not going to read all of them, but yeah, they do have a thing in here where you can read all that commentary. And yeah, George Washington, the convention's president. Let me skip over something. The entries began on May 13 of 1787, with the arrival of George Washington in Philadelphia, conclude on September 17 of 1787. With the signing of the United States Constitution, the synopsis of each day's debates, coupled with words of James Madison, George Mason, Benjamin Franklin, and others, provide an understanding of the sense of urgency and necessity motivating the men through a long summer of often tedious work. And I would, if I were Lord, be happy to convey all of my tediousness on you. I hope somebody gets that joke. George Washington, the convention's president, marveled to the Marquis de Lafayette of the convention's success. Quote, "We are not to expect perfection in this world, but mankind in modern times have apparently made some progress in the science of government." Neato burrito. Let me take a look here. All right, let's go ahead and dive into what they said on the first day. Washington initially resisted attending the federal convention, then served as its presiding officer. He arrived in Philadelphia one day before the convention was due to begin. There he is, father of our country, George Washington, painting by Charles Willson Peale, circa 1787 to 1790. The illustrious Washington left here this morning on his way to Philadelphia. Nothing but the importance of the business could have induced him to come forward. That's a quote from Delaware delegate Jacob Broome to fellow delegate John Dickinson, May 13 of 1787. Sunday, May 13 of 1787, George Washington arrived today in Philadelphia, one day in advance of the scheduled meeting of the Federal Convention. After leaving Wilmington, Delaware this morning, he proceeded to Chester, where 3 generals, 2 colonels, and 2 majors greeted the former leader of the Continental Army. This party, including Secretary of War General Henry Knox, they had at least some vague, very vague executive stuff going on, even though the Articles of Confederation were intensely vague about how it was structured and set up. So anyway, Secretary of War General Henry Knox and Washington's trusted aide-de-camp, Colonel David Humphreys, accompanied Washington into Philadelphia, arriving at Mrs. House's boarding house at 5th and High Streets on Market Street today, or that is Market Street today. Washington found his friend financier Robert Morris, who, if you know him, he's basically the guy who, besides France and Spain and the Netherlands, basically funded a great part of the revolution. He rallied a lot of the rich people. We like to cuss about, well, it was just the rich people that benefited from this. Well, they did benefit from it, but they also funded it. Nothing against the poor. I'm pretty poor, but you have to remember that often you do need the deep pockets if you're going to fund something like a revolution. Financier Robert Morris, waiting to insist the general stay at his house just 1 block away, Washington accepted, saying, quote, "But being again warmly and kindly pressed by Mr. and Mrs. Rob Morris to lodge with them, I did so." Washington stayed with the Morris family for the duration of the convention. Martha Washington, who had traveled so often with her husband during the war, remained in Virginia. Immediately upon arriving, Washington paid a visit to Benjamin Franklin, noting in his diary, "Waiting on the president, Dr. Franklin, as soon as I got to town." Dr. Franklin, at age 81, served as the president of Pennsylvania. Washington, as a citizen without official position, felt obliged to wait upon his old ally and friend. For Washington, protocol must be followed. Some believe the presence of General Washington and diplomatic statesman Franklin will be necessary to bring about change in the national governmental system. The convention, scheduled to begin tomorrow on May 14 of 1787. I'm just trying to set the stage here. Essentially, the government's not working. Nobody knows what needs to happen, and you've got Washington and Franklin and Morris, basically the Elon Musk of the United States attempt at independence. General Henry Knox, Colonel David Humphreys, basically some of the old Army people who won us the war. They're all kind of getting together to figure out what the heck are we going to do. We can't just let the country fall apart. Let's see what's going on in the chat. Lizzie Armstrong, George Washington, 2/22/1732 to 12/14. I always thought it was sad that he passed away on so close to the turn of the century. 1799, first American president. You got it. Thank you so much. Let's go back to the notes. Again, I don't want to read all of them. I think I will read this one because we've got a spiffy picture of Alexander Hamilton, and he was pretty important in this thing. Essentially, they had a quorum. They had Rufus King of Massachusetts, Robert Yates and Alexander Hamilton from New York, David Brearley, William Churchill Houston, William Patterson, not to be confused with Jordan Peterson of New Jersey, Robert Morris, Thomas Fitzsimmons, James Wilson, Governor Morris of Pennsylvania, George Reed, Richard Bassett, Jacob Broome, George Washington, Edmund Randolph. I'm going to skip a few names because essentially a lot of people don't know who. If you haven't studied this stuff, you probably have no idea who Edmund Randolph is. James Madison, hopefully you know a little bit about him. George Mason, not to be confused with the actor. Alexander Martin, William Richardson Davy, Richard Dobbs Speight, Hugh Williamson, John Rutledge, Charles Coatworthy Pinckney, Charles Pinckney, Pierce Butler, not to be confused with Rhett Butler, William Few. So there we go. We have some people to try and knock this out. Robert Morris, acting for Dr. Franklin, who was too ill to attend, nominated George Washington as chairman. John Rutledge seconded, and Washington was unanimously elected to the post. Robert Morris and John Rutledge escorted the general to the chair. Nominations for secretary included both William Jackson and Temple Franklin, who is the grandson of Benjamin Franklin. The convention elected Jackson to the position of secretary, named George Wythe, Alexander Hamilton, and Charles Pinckney to a rules committee. Wythe, the Virginia lawyer and law professor, chaired this committee that Washington said had been chosen to prepare rules and regulations for conducting the business. Because, let's face it, you have to even have some kind of rules or the discussion just descends into a mob. I don't know if you've ever seen video of Parliament or Congress when things kind of get out of control. It's hard to get business done when you don't know who's supposed to speak or when. Granted, you want to give as much time to as many people as you possibly can, but it has to be done in an orderly way. So those are the people that were to deal with things. On May the 29th, there were two plans submitted for a new government, the Virginia and Pinckney plans. We are beginning to enter seriously upon the business of the convention, quoting Maryland delegate James McHenry to his wife Peggy, letter he wrote her, I think, on May the 29th of 1787. Tuesday, May 29, the convention took two critical actions today, adopting secrecy rules, which I'll be honest, I don't like that, but it also does make some sense. Essentially, if everybody knew all of the procedures, there'd be so many people upset that likely not very much could get done. Something that this article isn't saying is that there had been a riot not very long before this where the Congress was basically booted out of their Capitol building, not city. They didn't want a repeat of that. So, in order to prevent that, they decided that nothing was to be spoken. Nothing spoken in the House was to be printed or otherwise published or communicated without leave. The secrecy rules allowed delegates to discuss, debate, and change their positions without criticism in the press or by the public. Secrecy promoted the process of compromise. Basically, you could make a proposal and know that maybe history would blow you up, but the newspapers weren't going to eviscerate your name. The details of the debate remained remarkably confidential. Governor Edmund Randolph of Virginia then opened the business of the convention, speaking at length about the defects of the Articles of Confederation and proposing 15 resolutions, the Virginia Plan. These resolutions would serve as principles on which to form a new government. Delegate Robert Yates of New York noted that Randolph candidly confessed that he meant a strong consolidated union in which the idea of states should be nearly annihilated. Now, this isn't what ended up being passed, but this was an early proposal. Charles Pinckney of South Carolina then proposed his own plan of union. Both the Virginia and Pinckney plans were referred to the Committee of the Whole for consideration. With the decision to refer the plans, the convention had committed itself to creating a new plan of government, a framework completely different than the Articles of Confederation's firm League of Friendship. Pinckney later claimed that his draft served as the basis for the final Constitution. He could never prove this assertion. Pinckney's original plan does not survive. No more was mentioned of it until July 24, when the Committee of the Whole was released from consideration of the Pinckney Plan. On the same day, the Pinckney Plan was referred to the Committee of Detail tasked with drafting a constitution from the discussions and decisions made up to that point. So essentially, they had to decide what were the rules for debate, for discussion. Randolph submitted the Virginia plan. Pinckney submitted his own plan. And the convention agreed to meet the following day as a committee of the whole, a structure that allows for all the members of the convention to weigh in, change course, and explore options before making final decisions. So there it was. Plans were submitted, debates were made. I will kind of cut through that quickly. For now, anyway, I may come back to it later and discuss it in more detail. We talked about that. We talked about that. Let me go back to and we have Connie Cleary in here. Hello, hello. And we have PvP. Welcome, welcome. Just doing a talk on that Constitution thing, that people say is outdated and all this stuff. I think the last poll that we'd had, we decided that the majority of us in this community don't think we need a new constitution, but there was a pretty strong minority that felt that there needed to be some amendments, but not to replace the whole thing. Skipping ahead a little bit, basically they debated all these plans, right? And part of the issue was you had big states and you had small states. And small states wanted to be equal with the big states, so that the big states didn't totally overpower them. But big states were like, well, hey, look, we're big states. We have big populations. We have lots of money. Why should you have as much say as us? So they compromised on that because nobody would yield. Edmund Randolph, we already talked about his Virginia plan. It was a large state plan, and it provided for a bicameral legislature with representation of each state based on its population or wealth. William Patterson proposed the New Jersey or small state plan, which provided for equal representation in Congress, and neither of these would yield. So Oliver Ellsworth and Roger Sherman, who is not the one that raided Atlanta, among others, in what is called the Connecticut or Great Compromise, proposed a bicameral legislation with blah, 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 blah. I do not say blah blah blah. Proposed a bicameral legislature with proportional representation in the lower house, an equal representation of the states in the upper house. All revenue measures would originate in the lower house. This compromise was approved on July 16. One of the other thorns in their side was the counting of slaves. Obviously, slave states wanted slaves to count for the organization of that lower house. And people who did not have slaves, the states that did not have slavery, were like, oh, that's not cool. We don't even like slavery at all. Why would we allow you to count them when they're not citizens? They're given none of the rights of a citizen. So they had to compromise on that as well. They agreed to a compromise agreement that 3/5 of slaves would be counted as population and apportioning representation, and should also be counted as property for assessing taxes. Controversy over the abolition of the importation of slaves ended because that was another big issue. The North was basically like, we don't want to import any more slaves. We should be doing our best to minimize slavery. We should be doing our best to get to a point where we outlaw it. We don't like that they're imported. And obviously the slave states that wasn't cool to them. We want to keep importing slaves to grow our economies and our wealth and all that stuff. This debate ended with the agreement that importation should not be forbidden before 1808. So they would forbid it, but they're going to put it quite a ways in the future, very roughly 20 years, just a little bit more than 21 years in the future. The powers of the federal executive and judiciary were enumerated, which the Articles of Confederation did not. They mentioned that there should be an executive, but then who the heck was in it, what their powers were. I read it the other day and I still couldn't tell you how the heck you were supposed to decide who the executive was or what he could do. And the Constitution was itself declared to be the supreme law of the land. The convention's work was approved by a majority of the states the following year. I'm kind of rushing ahead, but there it is. Let me see what's going on in the chat. Hey, we've got a lot of good people here. Let me get caught up here. We have Charlotte Nightstar the Werewolf. Oh, welcome. I hope you are doing well. We have PvP who says hello. And Charlotte, you moved your stream to tomorrow, I see. Gotcha. Lizzie Armstrong, a constitution refers to documents instructing fundamental laws for governance. The Constitution as a whole explains the political system and its expression of the political system and structure. Very exactly correct. See, that's why we need people like Lizzie to keep me organized here. Organization. That it was something that the Articles of Confederation were sadly lacking. Connie Cleary is saying hello to everybody. Big Al Presents is saying hello to everybody. I've got some really wonderful creators in here. Let's let's get to promoting all of you as creators. Lizzie, she has some wonderful videos of Australia and some car events and other events that she's gone to. So check her out. Resolute Germ does a lot of watch parties, and he's often on the panel with Gorillas or Random Thoughts and those wonderful people over there. So please check him out. I guess I will also count you as a creator, John Ponderera. You've recently been including your music in your videos, and I think that is spiffy keen. Probably YouTube won't like it, but you know what? I think it's awesome. And as I said, we have Charlotte Nightstar the Werewolf, who does all kinds of things. She's got watch parties, which I think she's doing one tomorrow. She does interviews. She does music, poetry, novels, you name it. She's a Jill of all trades. So please check her out. PvP. He's been sharing some of the music that he loves, and he is often on panels. He and I have been doing the Dark Shadows on Friday, and I've been having a ton of fun with that, and I hope you guys have as well. Okay, Connie Cleary, faithful bird woman of YouTube, she has been doing lots of videos with birds and calming music. She's also got crafty things that are really cool. She's done interviews with Dino and some other people. I did an interview of her long time ago. I should do another one of these days. But hopefully I've gained a little more talent since then. I had someone leave me a comment that was the worst interview ever. It didn't hurt my feelings, honest. But please check her out. And we have Big Al Presents. Hello. Please check out this wonderful creator, the creator of the 10-word review or less. And I love his reviews. He doesn't put in all the politics and stuff. He just tells you whether he likes it or not. So you can rely on what you may end up not agreeing with him, but you've got his opinion of a movie. And he also does Saturday night watch parties. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to put mine at midnight, because he and Netter will have a Saturday night movie. So I wanted to give people a chance to see that. Be Yourself Adventures. And God bless you. I'm so glad to see you here, and I hope you are doing well. We did an interview just a couple of days ago. He's done a heart procedure, dropping by real fast to say hi, and he is recovering. We are saying prayers for you, sir. PvP saying government seemed more structured and disciplined back then. It sure did. Connie Cleary, I'll be in listening mode. I'm at the pet shop right now. Ooh, yes. PvP says government now seems like the Wild West at times. Well, I think I would have more respect if it was more like the Wild West, because at least in the Wild West there was some vague sense of honor and propriety. I know it wasn't perfect. Everybody saying hello to each other. PvP saying glad you're recovering, Larry. And Larry is responding with, it was a very rough day yesterday. Right on. PvP saying take it easy and rest. PvP's Be Yourself Adventures. Larry is saying, I'm doing my best. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. PvP, you're welcome, Larry. You're an important part of the community. We want you to be well. Absolutely. I had my sister pray for you yesterday. She's a very sweet Christian woman, and her faith is stronger than mine. So that should be good. Enigma Severus. Curtis is exploring the Constitution so he can overthrow things. Yes. Well, I put in the poll here the other day whether or not if we should replace the Constitution or not. And one of the things that you could vote for was government by tired blogging. And I am the only person who voted for that. I don't understand. I would have thought that everyone would have thought that was a wonderful idea. But I don't have a poll right now because essentially I have a goal of 5 super chats. If you guys are interested in a midnight watch party tonight, please contribute, and we'll figure out something to watch. But for now, I'm just mentioning it, and I throw out some ideas. If you're interested in watching something tonight, throw out some ideas, and if we get 2 or 3 things, we'll throw out a poll and see what we have at the end of the stream. Larry is saying thank you very much. All right. Enigma, by the way, is a great creator himself. He does some tribute videos, he does movie reviews, and he has a channel where he teaches you Spanish. So please check out this wonderful creator. And I am indeed exploring the Constitution so I can overthrow things, but sadly, my army consists right now of just Cassie. And whenever I tell her about face, all she does is wag her tail and put up her paw, begging for more treats. Larry says, my brother Curtis, unfortunately, I can't stay too long because I got to get back to resting. Yes, please get some rest. I appreciate that you were here. God bless you, but please get some rest. Don't. You probably know your Constitution, and if you don't, you can watch this later. So there we go. Enigma says, Lizzie Armstrong, you could see me. My cloak isn't working right. Stinking marketplace. Good to see you all as well. And Lizzie is saying, I can see you. Enigma, I subscribe to your interesting channel. Thank you so much, Lizzie. And again, another wonderful creator here. Kaplaw to Gorilla's Random Thoughts. Hail to you, glory to you and your house. I hope that you are doing well. Thank you for being here. Check out this wonderful man's channel. He's got the cigar lounges. He has the Walton's reviews, which I apologize. I went there in the chat, and I think it had gone on 10 or 20 minutes, and then I fell asleep. My bad. I'm so sorry. But it is a wonderful, fun thing to watch and listen to. A lot of the creators here will come on the panel with him when they can. I know Be Yourself Adventures. He has done a lot of things as well. Wonderful creator. He one of the things he's been doing is he's been doing watch parties of the old '60s Avengers, which is not to be confused with the Marvel Avengers. And when he's recovered, please takes the time to recover, Larry. But when he's recovered, my hope and plan is to him and PvP and Mikey and me and maybe 1 or 2 others. Let me know if you're interested. We'll be doing watch parties of Dark Shadows, and those have been really fun. I've been enjoying that show so much more than I thought that I would. Gorillas missed. What did he miss in the first 40 minutes? Well, what you missed was the convention was established to fix the Articles of Confederation, but it wasn't very long into the convention that they decided that this was just not going to work. We needed a whole new constitution of government, something that was stronger, something that actually defined who the executive was and what they could do, who the judiciary was, what they could do. The legislature, that was pretty obvious to the founding fathers, because that was how to them that was the crux of government. They didn't want any kings. They wanted an executive government that was strong enough to conduct wars and to keep the government organized, but not so strong that they could become tyrants. And PvP makes a good point here. The Old West is often romanticized. You're not wrong. Be Yourself, Larry, is saying that was a lot of fun, my brother Curtis. We should do it again one day. You have a great channel. Thank you so much. You are so kind. You are so kind. Yes, please, all of you wonderful creators, please check each other out. Please give each other support and love, and watch each other's videos. I know it's hard to watch everybody's. It's impossible to watch everybody's, but pick a channel and watch some stuff. Like watch some of Lizzie's shorts or something. That kind of sounded weird. Anyway, Lizzie Armstrong, the stage setting for the foundation of the Constitution. Yes. Essentially, I was talking about they had all these difficulties. The big states wanted to be really powerful. The small states didn't want the big states to have power that they felt was unreasonable over them. Slave states wanted the expansion and the strength of slavery, the free states, or however you want to describe them, did not want expansion or growth of slavery. And so they had to come up with a lot of compromises. And, I I know that compromise isn't always the perfect or best thing to do, but often it is. Often you just have to find some kind of compromise and go with that. I think that's something we've forgotten how to do on both sides of the aisle. That's one of the reasons why I'm doing this series. On both sides of the aisle, I often hear, we won't compromise. Well, then you can't govern. Not something as big and complex as the United States. John Ponterero is saying, Larry, I hope you recover infinitely. Indeed, I hope you are recovering. Indeed. Enigma Severus. Lizzie Armstrong, thank you for the sub. I saw the comments. I'm happy you enjoyed the Blade Runner video. I'm looking to do more videos. Nice, nice. I know your busy season is coming up soon, but yeah, whenever you can sneak out another video, please do. And please, you guys, feel free to share your channels or recent videos or anything. That's why I give you all wrenches. If there's anyone in here I've forgotten to give a wrench, maybe pop your hand up or something and let me know, because I think nearly all of you are worthy of having wrenches in here. John Ponterero, God bless you, sir. 99-cent super chat. So we are a fifth of the way to having a midnight showing of something. Please throw out some ideas. PvP is getting the ball rolling. I have a feeling the Old West was often more like Unforgiven. So you know what? I think Unforgiven would be a good thing to put in. So if you guys have a couple more ideas, throw them out to me and I'll start a poll going for you guys. Be Yourself Adventure. My brother Curtis, my channel is mainly about the adventures and traveling along Route 66. Indeed. Yes, that's right. And I'm sorry, I didn't really explain to people what else you have. Essentially, he goes on road trips and things. He also talks sometimes about some of the movies that he's been in the past. That's not exactly the cornerstone of the channel, but some very fascinating videos exist on there about some of the movies that he's been in. So please check him out. Be yourself. Check him out. Lizzie says, my OC's still down, so still working from my phone. Enigma Severus, John Ponterero, my good sir, great to see you. Just a lazy Saturday for me. I was helping a friend on a farm, and then now I'm doing this, and then in about an hour or so, I've got to call this stream good and go to work. I'm covering somebody's shift because I'm just that kind of person. But I did basically, I'm not so nice that I was just like, yeah, I'll cover it. I was like, yeah, if I got to stream first, and then I can cover the rest of your shift after that. John Ponterero puts us 40% of the way there with another 99-cent super chat. I've got to come up with some kind of spiffy, something besides $1 million here. Let's do something here. Carney's ride is wild. Okay. Let's see. I know. Here we go. Maybe not the greatest reward, but let's play this for the
dirty turkey shark, a fat, flat, and Thornton, Philip, Bucket, Barton, Perkaluma, Burton, Durton, Boston, Martin, and Adam.
Yes, there you go.
Die Hard.
The reward for the super chat for now is going to be Yosemite Sam ranting, at least until YouTube says it's no good. All righty. John Ponterer, great to see you and the chat. John, yes indeed, yes indeed. Enigma Severus, Lizzie Armstrong, poor Lizzie. I dislike when the internet goes down. It can be very annoying, indeed. And Gorillas, yes, I'm sorry, I missed most of it. I just crashed so hard. I hate the chronic fatigue. I'm not even going to try to explain it. It just, I started watching, I was laughing, and all of a sudden, zzz. John Ponterer, half of it all went well, Larry. You're in my prayers, brother. Right on, right on. Or you mean glad it all went well? Be Yourself Adventures. Larry is saying Dark Shadows is a Dan Curtis production. That is right. I just changed my name because I am a vampire. John Ponterer with another 99-cent super chat. Let's see what else can I do here besides Yosemite Sam. Barnabas Collins. They didn't have any cool sayings from Barnabas Collins, but let's see what this random thing here says.
Oh, I wouldn't want to impose on your time any further. I did come unannounced.
Oh, that doesn't.
There we go. There we go. He told this lady that he came unannounced. You can make whatever you want of that. So we're 60% of the way. Throw out some ideas, and we will start up a poll. Gorilla's thoughts. I have to pause you for about 5 minutes because that's all the longer the effing battery for the mower lasts. I'm sorry about that, sir. Larry says, all right, well, now I got to ruin everybody. Take care of this. Take care of this. Be yourself. Thank you for the support. And everyone, thank you for the prayers. Yes. Lizzie Armstrong, my PC was damaged in the last house as the power points kept shutting down through faulty fuse. Real estate refuses to fix. Internet good. National broadband fiber optic cable throughout Australia. Okay, so it's basically freaking the landlord. A 99-cent super chat from John Ponterer. He wants that midnight watch party.
Doesn't matter. But please stay a little while longer. You have other cousins to meet. My brother Roger and his little boy David and my daughter Carolyn.
I look forward to it eagerly.
He looks forward to it eagerly. All the President's Men. Okay, so we have All the President's Men. John, you're basically the funder of this stream with another 99-cent super chat. You basically should have reached the goal. Let me make sure YouTube is, yep, there it goes. The celebration. We reached the goal. We reached the goal. Man, I'm so tempted to play Celebrate Good Times, but I already know YouTube will nail me for that. What else does Barnabas Collins say here? Let's play a few seconds of creepy Barnabas Collins to reward $4.95, if I'm doing my math right, from John Ponterero from 5 different super chats. God bless
Moment.
you.
The household is a little upset. We have temporary guests.
Oh, please, even to think of it is sufficient courtesy. But I think you'll realize when I say that I'd prefer more independent quarters.
I understand.
I'd prefer more independent quarters. Well, John, let me know what you would like to see in the movie, and if you've got something cool, and if not, I'll throw whatever you're thinking. If you don't have something solid that you absolutely want to see, in with All the President's Men and Unforgiven, and we'll run a poll. Lizzie is saying, oh, really? Well, that's pretty cool. You should get a full command center for your computer set up now. Here's a list of favorite films. Oh, Lord. I opened the can of worms. Here we go. PvP Super Argo versus Diabologus. Super Argo and the Faceless Giants. Jason and the Argonauts. That would be fun. Liz Armstrong, that's a good idea. Enigma, need to update my skills so that I might need it for PhD activities I am formulating. Nice, Lizzie. Nice. Zardoz might be fun. Okay. Bipartisan agreement is just swampy talk. They all agree on how they're going to screw us over. I kind of tend to agree with you on that. Gorillas is saying Loon Lake. Lizzie, what's the PhD in? I was working on mine before the year which shall not be named. It was on C.S. Lewis and fictional works. John Ponerera, thank you so much for the support. Otherwise, we would not be able to get Curtis to do our bidding. Well, I'm just not going to say what I have a lame joke in my mind, but it involves women of the night, so I'll just be good, not say anything. Lizzie is probably in here thinking, oh, Curtis is not a bad guy, and then I say something about Wet Ladies of the Night. And, okay, maybe he is. Just download a bunch of these from Yarn. Okay, I am not going to make an executive decision just yet, but John, let me know if you're set on. What did you say again? I am so having a moment. Zardoz. If unless you have two or three others, I'll make a executive decision to do Zardoz tonight. But if you have at least one other, I'll set up a poll with Zardoz, your other movie, and Jason and the Argonauts, and something else. One of these other choices. All the President's Men. I'll let Lizzie have a choice, say as well. But let me know, because John, you are the funder, therefore you should get. Frankly, I'm okay with you getting the choice, but if you have a second movie, great. And if you don't, we will go with Zardoz. So awesome. Okay, I need to actually get back to talking about the Constitution. Ha ha. Zardoz. Okay, executive decision tonight at midnight. We will do a watch party of Zardoz. Ha 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 ha. Or maybe a little bit earlier, but I want to give everyone a chance to watch Big Al and Netter's movie before, without competing with that. Lizzie Armstrong, lovely. The nomenclature of water and its application to Earth and Earth memory consciousness. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Okay. Let's get back to the Constitution. I've got about a half hour or a little more before I really probably ought to go. So, good stuff. All right, Facebook, the Facebook. Let's go ahead and get into the Constitution itself. May have rushed the actual discussion about the convention itself, but I hope I've at least given you some hint of what difficulties they had to overcome in order to compile this thing. So, this is a transcription of the Constitution as it was inscribed by Jacob Shallis on parchment, which is the document on display in the rotunda. So the spelling and punctuation reflect the original. The preamble to the Constitution is just fantastic. The civics classes I've taken all talk about the preamble, and they all talk about how essentially this is who the document's for. This is the purpose of the document. This is the purpose of the government. All of it's here in the preamble. And if you are trying to judge laws or American actions, the best thing to do, or one of the best things to do, is to apply the preamble to it. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. And it looks like Gorillas has been censored. What he said, I don't know. What did he say? I don't see it on my end. Oh, God dang it. Sorry about that, guys. I'm having a fight with the world right now. Let's see. So Gorillas is being censored. Well, Lizzie Armstrong's Lizzie's PhD is not that bad. You can relax. It's just water. Okay. Gorillas was censored. Enigmus Everest, Gorilla Memorandum's thoughts. I know I was joking about how it came up immediately after Lizzie's post. I've been censored before when I quoted something in the Bible. Lizzie Armstrong is giving her resume, maybe. Dip Psych Nursing. I don't know what dip is. Oh, or diploma, probably. Psych Nursing, BA in Drama, Screen, American Colonial History, Honors International Relations and Politics, OG Diploma Creative Writing, Master of Arts of Creative Enterprise, Theater Director, Choreographer, and Musician. That's fantastic. See, we need to get her over to the United States and make her $1 million or something like that. But that's awesome. Yes, censoring the Bible, that is sad. That is very sad. Getting back to the Constitution, if this is the way the civics classes taught it to me, and this is at least very close to the way I see it, the laws should apply to all the people. We, the people. It shouldn't be, at least they should not often, except in very special circumstances, they should not be discriminatory. It should apply to everyone. The purpose is to form a more perfect union. And so, is this law or is this action going to unite us or divide us? That is one huge measure on how we should apply our laws and our actions. Will this law or this action establish justice? One of the big debates we have anymore is about moral relativism. How can we even decide what's right or what's wrong? What are the standards? How do we have justice? How do we establish it if we don't even know what it is? Ensure domestic tranquility. If your action or your law is leading to riots in the street, then you're not doing something that is healthy or good or promotive of our Constitution. A good law, a good action brings about peace, not fighting, not warfare. Provide for the common defense. A strong defense. I'm sorry, I'm not a war hawk at all, but we have to, if we can't defend ourselves, if we can't defend our borders and our rights and our freedoms, then all of this is just so much waste paper. Promote the general welfare. Does this law or does this action tend to benefit people in general, not just a few, not just Congress, not just the wealthy, but the majority of the people, or as many people as possible anyway? Does it secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our children, or does it enslave us, or does it cause our children to have to be enslaved in order to keep us free? And this was what the founding fathers, this was their proposal to ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. I know there's lots of debate. Does this apply to citizens? Does it not apply to citizens? I'm not going to get into that debate right now, but at the very, very, very minimum, this is supposed to secure the blessings of liberty to the citizens, to the people of the United States of America. All right, let's see what's going on in the chat. Lizzie Armstrong, fear of flying, but working on transportation and pet. Minding, I'll be there soon. Oh, that would be great. You need to come to Oklahoma. You'll be bored to tears, but I'll try to keep you entertained. I got some books. Enigma Severus, Lizzie Armstrong, you can always travel like the 1800s, take a ship. You can let us know where the Kraken is located at this moment, considering we've only discovered 10% or less of the ocean. Lizzie suspects the PhD will create some ripples. Enigma, interesting. Sci-Fi Sith Dan, yet another wonderful creator here, does a lot of sci-fi stuff, a lot of good, cool watch parties, and is often on the panels with Gorilla's Random Thoughts, who hasn't yet told us what he said to be censored. Are they not even letting you share it word by word? Anyway, but I do apologize. I'm sorry that YouTube censored you. I hate that. But anyway, Sci-Fi Sithan is saying hello. Lizzie Armstrong is saying hello. Or is actually saying LOL Enigma. I'm a scuba diver, but seasick on boats. A starship might be the only option. PvP defending your border is critical. There's a certain country that's very experienced in that. Right on, right on. Enigma Severus, Lizzie Armstrong, Dudette. I really want to own an octopus because they are awesome. I was hoping to learn scuba one day. That would be so cool. I'm getting old, so I don't know if it's going to happen, but man, it would be so, so cool. Enigma is saying also, I want a shark as a best friend. Just saying. I think Enigma has jumped the shark. I'm just kidding. All right, Enigma, Valerie Taylor would love to speak with you. Очень интересно. All righty. So let's dive in just a little more, at least for another 10 or 20 minutes. We'll get through some of the article, hopefully the first article, and then we'll call it a stream. Article 1, Section 1, pretty short and to the point. All legislative powers herein granted shall be vested in a Congress of the United States, which shall consist of a Senate and a House of Representatives. To me, this reminds me a lot of the British Parliament, because to me, the Senate, it's not exactly the same, but it's reminiscent of the House of Lords. And the House of Representatives is, to me, representative of the House of Commons. Section 2, the House of Representatives shall be composed of members chosen every second year by the people of the several states. And the electors in each state shall have the qualifications requisite for electors of the most numerous branch of the state legislature. So, yeah. Basically, The Senate didn't used to be something that was democratically elected. The Senate usually was chosen, not always, but usually was chosen by the legislation of the state. So it was more upper crust, more creme de la creme. In some ways, it was more political in that likely you could not be a senator if you didn't know somebody in government, but it was also less important to be populistically popular. And I know that sounds convoluted. White man speak with forked tongue. Essentially, you didn't have to give a crap if Billy Joe Bob Bo Bob Brain in the middle of the you know basically the redneck who has no job and has nothing, is living off of welfare. You didn't have to care if that person liked you or not. What you had to care about was, did the governor like you? Did the legislators like you? Did the rich people like you? But the popular vote from the House of Representatives, yes, you had to be sure that the local yokels all thought you were cool because they were the ones that were going to vote for you or not. That's one of the reasons why I felt like the Senate reminded me of the House of Lords. Things have changed since then, but this was the way it was set up. No person shall be a representative who shall not have attained the age of 25 years and been 7 years a citizen of the United States. So some of these illegal aliens, they become legal in 7 years as citizens of the United States. They're eligible to be in the House of Representatives. And who shall not, when elected, be an inhabitant of that state in which he shall be a citizen. This is one of the problems I've had with several of our legislators. I won't name names, but we want to run for Congress in, say, just as an example, New York. Again, I'm not going to name people, but will name the state because I've seen this happen a lot. We're a representative from the state of New York, but we don't live there. We might buy a house on the Hamptons because we're a bunch of rich people, but we're actually a citizen of, just again, as a random example ish. My home is in Oklahoma, but I'm actually a legislator in New York. The Constitution is not happy with that because it wants you to represent the state. It wants you to be vested in the health and prosperity and the happiness of that state. But I am in Oklahoma. I don't give a crap about New York. They can go hang. So a lobbyist comes along with about $20,000 and says, hey, vote for this law. That's not good for New York. This is not good for Oklahoma. But, who cares? You got money. Oh, okay. That's fantastic. And it's, I think, part of the reason why we've ended up where we're at. Representatives and direct taxes shall be apportioned among the several states which may be included within this union, according to their respective numbers, which shall be determined by adding to the whole number of free persons, including those bound to a service for a term of years. So you're still counted as a citizen even if you were in indentured service, and excluding Indians not taxed 3/5 of all other persons. So a Native American could be a citizen, don't get me wrong, but if they were part of their tribe and they're running around not paying taxes, then they weren't counted. And they did not usually have a vote. Sometimes they did. Usually, though, they were governed by their individual tribe. And all those rules were determined by their tribe and or by a treaty with the United States, which we always followed to the letter. And of course, the 3/5 clause, we're talking about the slaves, not exclusively, but mostly the black slaves of the Southerners. The actual enumeration shall be made within 3 years after the first meeting of the Congress of the United States, and within every subsequent term of 10 years, in such manner as they shall by law direct. The number of representatives shall not exceed 1 for every 30,000. But each state shall have at least 1 representative, and until such enumeration shall be made, the state of New Hampshire shall be entitled to choose 3, Massachusetts 8, Rhode Island and Providence Plantations 1, Connecticut 5, New York 6, New Jersey 4, Pennsylvania 8. You see the big states having more representatives. Delaware 1, Maryland 6, Virginia 10, so it was the most populous state at the time, North Carolina 5, South Carolina 5, and Georgia 3. When vacancies happen in the representatives from any state, the executive authority thereof shall issue writs of election to fill such vacancies. So instead of having a special election for the senators, if a senator had resigned or did something or died, the governor would just appoint someone. The House of Representatives shall choose their speaker and other officers and shall have the sole power of impeachment. Goody, goody, goody. All right, let's get caught up in the chat. The chat's rocking. Rocking and rolling. Down to the beach I'm strolling. All right, Sci-Fi Sith Dan, Enigma Severus. Yeah, you're a sucker in more ways than one. Ooh, okay. PvP, Sci-Fi Sith Dan, hello. Mikey is probably not available today. Did you want to watch a Star Trek episode in a few hours or skip to next week? Booger, howdy, howdy, howdy. I cannot remember if you have any content. Let me know if you do. But repeal the 17th. I'm in agreement with you on that one. Enigma Severus wants to know how he is a sucker. Sci-Fi Sit-Down says to PvP, I was thinking of doing a Star Wars themed watch party for a few videos of Star Wars. Sci-Fi Sith-Dan, Enigma Severus, just a joke, as the octopus has suckers. Resolute Germ, we need to get back to that method for the Senate. And I know this is probably not popular, but I agree. I think that we should have that division, that one house is Democratic and the other one is Republican. And I'm not talking about the party, I'm talking about the methods of choosing the members. I'm certain there are people out there who, oh my gosh, Curtis doesn't like democracy. But the whole point of this was to balance democracy with Republican government. And I think they did a brilliant job of it. And we decided that we wanted more democracy, which is, it might be fine if we had a well-informed populace and a government that didn't lie to us all the time. Booger 414, the idea was that the Senate would represent the states. Critics said it was a millionaires club. I am glad that we fixed it and got rid of the millionaires. I'm thinking you're being sarcastic in that, but let me know. You may mean what you said. And that's okay. Disagreement, as long as it's polite, is always welcome on this channel. Sci-Fi Sedan, they are highly intelligent little things, talking about the octopi. Yes. PvP, will you be able to join me on my live stream today? Sci-Fi Sith Dan. And everybody's saying hi to each other. Sci-Fi Sith Dan also really moody, but I've always been interested in getting an octopus. Problem is they're high maintenance. Booger, is saying we have several naturalized citizens in both houses. Yes. And as you know, I'm all for that. I'm actually absolutely all for that. Booger, are you talking about someone from Arkansas? Yes, I kind of am. PvP, Sith Dan, possibly, although I'm not a huge Star Wars fan. It also depends on who is on the panel. Booger says Tom Lear once said he had the right to be smug because Massachusetts had 3 senators since a Kennedy had moved to New York to run. That's an interesting comment. That really is. Resolute Germ, we have a senator here that doesn't even own a home in Washington. She uses a family address. Yes. And I think that is a big part of the problems that we have. Enigma Severus Booger, no, not them. They're them Kansas rejects, right? PvP, what time are you starting? Semi says the Dan. Booger saying Enigma Severus. I understand reject since New York, Pennsylvania, and Ohio are all occupying land granted to Connecticut. Yes, that is true. People often forget that. There were lots of spiffy compromises that had to happen for the states to be carved up the way they were. And now we get upset with gerrymandering, and there it is. Resolute Germ, that Indian thing went away in the 20s. Yeah, largely it did. In fact, pretty much entirely it did. They have since all been declared citizens of the United States. Booger 414, almost everyone misunderstands the 3/5 rule is to prevent the slave states from buying seats in Congress, kind of like what is going on with current census battle. Agreed. Sci-fi then if Charlotte is doing a stream, I could schedule it roughly at 3 p.m. If not, I'll do it at 2 p.m. Booger is saying slave owners wanted to vote for their slaves. The 3/5 rule made that a less attractive prospect for them. Lizzie Armstrong Connie, hi to the birdies and the cuties at the pet store. A Booger 414, both would be Republican, as a republic has no king. Indeed. And I know we had protests. I won't dive into that, but basically, the United States is not a place that wants a king. It never has. I think it never will. Booger 414, democracy is 4 wolves and a lamb voting on what to have for dinner. Yes! And that's why we have to be careful with it, because otherwise the lambs are pretty much going to get eaten up. But not that no form of government is perfect. They all eventually decay and fall. Resolute Germ, democracy is inherently evil. It exploits the worst instincts of the majority. And that is what I think as well. I know, again, that that's not necessarily a popular view, but raw, unadulterated democracy, maybe if people were perfect, but we're not. And Charlotte is streaming tomorrow, I think. Yes, okay. PvP, here's a video that just posted. All right, I will look at that right after. Well, actually, probably not right after the stream, but I will try to get it. Where's the master negotiator Canadians were promised? Cool beans. All right, let's see if I can get through this article, and then we'll call it a stream because I got to get to work in about an hour. Section 3, the Senate of the United States shall be comprised of 2 senators from each state chosen by the legislature thereof for 6 years, and each senator shall have 1 vote. Immediately after, they shall be assembled in consequence of the first election. They shall be divided as equally as may be into 3 classes. The seats of the senators of the first class shall be vacated at the expiration of the second year, of the second class at the expiration of the 4th year, and of the third class at the expiration of the 6th year, so that 1/3 may be chosen every second year. And if vacancies happen by resignation or otherwise during the recess of the legislature of any state, the executive thereof may make temporary appointments until the next meeting of the legislature, which shall then fill such vacancies. So it's very similar to what they did with the, and sometimes still do, with the representatives. Essentially, if there's a vacancy before the election, governor picks. We had a governor or two step down to take the vacancy. No person shall be a senator who shall not have attained to the age of 30 years and been 9 years a citizen of the United States, and who shall not, when elected, be an inhabitant of that state for which he shall be chosen. The Vice President of the United States shall be President of the Senate, but shall have no vote unless they be equally divided. The Senate will choose their other officers and also a President pro tem in the absence of the Vice President, or when he shall exercise the office of President of the United States. The Senate shall have the sole power to try all impeachments. When sitting for that purpose, they shall be on oath or affirmation. When the President of the United States is tried, the Chief Justice shall preside, and no person shall be convicted without the concurrence of 2/3 of the members present. Judgment in cases of impeachment shall not extend further than to removal from office and disqualifications to hold and enjoy any office of honor, trust, or profit under the United States. But the party convicted shall nevertheless be liable and subject to indictment, trial, judgment, and punishment according to the law. And I think, all remember that Trump has been multiple times has been they've attempted to impeach him. There was even an effort to do that with Biden. I don't think it went very far. Sadly, I think there are more and more these days who would cheerfully accept a monarchy. I think you're right, honestly. As long as it was someone they liked. Sci-fi sit there and resolute German may be bad, but the question is, are the alternatives worse? If so, people will stick to the democracy or constitutional republic. PvP conservative leader talking about Prime Minister Carney's failure, epic fail. And yes, Stream Elements just keeps telling you to check out Sci-Fi Mombi's channel. One of these days I've got to go in there and mess with that. Section 4, the times, places, and manner of holding elections for senators and representatives shall be prescribed in each state by the legislature thereof, but the Congress may at any time by law make or alter such regulations except as to the places of choosing senators. The Congress shall assemble at least once in every year, and such meeting shall be in the first Monday in December, unless they shall by law appoint a different day. Section 5. Each house shall be the judge of the elections, returns, and qualifications of its own members, and a majority of each shall constitute a quorum to do business, but a smaller number may adjourn from day to day, and may be authorized to compel the attendance of absent members in such manner and under such penalties as each house may provide. They do have a sergeant at arms who, on a few rare occasions in my lifetime, have actually gone out. And I don't know about necessarily saying that they arrested people, but they, shall we say, compelled people to return to the Capitol and do their dang job. Each house may determine the rules of its proceedings, punish its members for disorderly behavior, and with the concurrence of 2/3 expel a member. Each house shall keep a journal of its proceedings, and from time to time publish the same, excepting such parts as may in their judgment require secrecy, and the yeas and nays of the members of either house on any questions shall, at the desire of 1/5 of those present, be entered on the journal. Neither house during the session of Congress shall, without the consent of the other, adjourn for more than 3 days, nor to any other place than that in which the two houses shall be sitting. So they can't just arbitrarily decide, well, we're going to go to Oklahoma and do our session there. They have to do it in the Capitol. Section 6, the senators and representatives shall receive a compensation for their services to be ascertained by law and paid out of the Treasury of the United States. They shall in all cases, except treason, felony, and breach of the peace, be privileged from arrest during their attendance of the session of their respective houses, and in going to and returning from the same, and for any speech or debate at either house, they shall not be questioned in any other place. No senator or representative shall, during the time for which he was elected, be appointed to any civil office under the authority of the United States, which shall have been created, or the emoluments whereof shall have been increased during such time. And no person holding any office under the United States shall be a member of either house during his continuance in office. So you can only be one or the other. You can't be a senator and a congressman. You have to be one or the other. And you're supposed to not be holding other offices, but it does seem like there's been exceptions. But I don't want to digress, and I could be wrong about that. So, Section 7, all bills for raising revenue shall originate in the House of Representatives, but the Senate may propose or concur with amendments as on other bills. Every bill which shall have passed the House of Representatives and the Senate shall, before it become a law, be presented to the President of the United States. If he approve, he shall sign it. But if not, he shall return it with his objections to that House in which it shall have originated, who shall enter the objections at large on their journal and proceed to reconsider it. If after such reconsideration 2/3 of that House shall agree to pass the bill, it shall be sent together with the objections to the other House, by which it shall likewise be reconsidered, and if approved by 2/3 of that House, it shall become a law. But in all such cases, the votes of both houses shall be determined by yeas and nays, and the names of the persons voting for and against the bill shall be entered on the journal of each house respectively. If any bill shall not be returned by the President within 10 days, Sundays excepted, after it shall have been presented to him, the same shall be a law, in like manner as if he had signed it, unless the Congress by their adjournment prevent its return, in which case it shall not be a law. Every order, resolution, or vote to which the concurrence of the Senate and House of Representatives may be necessary, except on a question of adjournment, shall be presented to the President of the United States, and before the same shall take effect, shall be approved by him, or being disapproved by him, shall be repassed by 2/3 of the Senate and the House of Representatives, according to the rules and limitations prescribed in the case of a bill. So, the President has definitely got a lot of power about what will be and what won't be a law, but he doesn't have absolute power. The founders wanted this. The monarch could just veto any law, and Parliament could do nothing about it. I don't know if that's still the case, but that was the case at the time. They did not want the president to have that much power, but they did want him to have some capacity to say, no, this is a bad law. We can't go for that. Charlotte's streaming in 20 minutes. It was scheduled for tomorrow. Now it's back to today. The House of Representatives dropped the ball. The 25th Amendment, they were afraid to use the second method. Yet another example of the uniparty. Agreed. PvP just got a notification right on. Secrecy, like the bills they're voting on. So secret the members can't even read them. Right on. Yes, Charlotte is very talented. That is correct. Very talented. No hitting each other with canes or walking sticks. Charlotte's a very smart lady. Really nice, too. Booger says all bills raising revenue except for medical insurance taxes. Right. Lizzie Armstrong, thank you all in advance. Fascinating discussion. Many thanks for having me in the chat. Absolutely. And congratulations, Bill. You're a law. Right on. Oh, man. Will I be able to get through this? I think I can. I may not get much more done, but I think I can get through this article. Okay, Section 8. The Congress shall have power to lay and collect taxes, but of course, do taxes have to give their consent? Okay, I know that was a bad joke. Duties, imposts, and excises to pay the debts and provide for the common defense and the general welfare of the United States. But all duties, imposts, and excises shall be uniform throughout the United States. To borrow money on the credit of the United States, to regulate commerce with foreign nations and among the several states and with the Indian tribes, to establish a uniform rule of naturalization and uniform laws on the subjects of bankruptcies throughout the United States, to coin money, regulate the value thereof, and of foreign coin, and fix the standards of weights and measures, to provide for the punishment of counterfeiting the securities and current coin of the United States, to establish post offices and post roads, to promote the progress of science and useful arts by securing for limited times to authors and inventors the exclusive right to their respective writings and discoveries, to constitute tribunals inferior to the Supreme Court, to define and punish piracies and felonies committed on the high seas and offenses against the laws of nations, to declare war, grant letters of marque and reprisal, and make rules concerning captures on land and water, to raise and support armies, but no appropriation of money to that use shall be for a longer term than 2 years, to provide and maintain a navy, to make rules for the government and regulation of the land and naval forces, to provide for calling forth the militia to execute the laws of the Union, suppress insurrections, and repel invasions, to provide for organizing, arming, and disciplining the militia, and for governing each part of them as may be employed in the service of the United States, reserving to the states respectively the appointment of the officers and the authority of training the militia according to the discipline prescribed by Congress, to exercise exclusive legislation in all cases whatsoever over such district not exceeding 10 miles square as may by session of particular states and the acceptance of Congress become the seat of the government of the United States. So this is the place where people want Washington, D.C. to be a state. It's literally unconstitutional. And I know people who are upset about that, but surely if we have to, we can have a discussion of it in a later episode. But there were reasons why the founding fathers didn't want Washington, D.C. to be a state. They are to exercise like authority over all places purchased by the consent of the legislature of the state in which the same shall be for the erection of forts, magazines, arsenals, dockyards, and other needful buildings, and to make all laws which shall be necessary and proper for carrying into execution the foregoing powers, and all other powers vested by this Constitution in the government of the United States, or in any department or officer thereof. Section 9. The migration or importation of such persons as any of the states now existing shall think proper to admit shall not be prohibited by the Congress prior to the year 1808. But a tax or duty may be imposed on such importation not exceeding $10 for each person. This is specifically applied to slavery. It's not talking about migration at large, just slavery. The privilege of the writ of habeas corpus shall not be suspended unless, when in cases of rebellion or invasion, the public safety may require it. No bill of attainder or ex post facto law shall be passed. We try to do this all the time. You can't make a law that says it was illegal. Oh, let's see if I can provide an example. It was illegal to drive a car after 1985. And we're going to try and convict everybody who drove a car. No, the effective date has to be no sooner than the passing of the bill. You cannot punish people for things that were legal in the past, but we try to do it all the time. No capitation or other direct tax shall be laid unless in proportion to the census or enumeration herein before directed to be taken. This was one of the reasonings why they had to pass an amendment to get an income tax going. It was part of the reason. No tax or duty shall be laid on articles exported from any state. So we're not going to tax our own states for importing goods. No preference shall be given by any regulation of commerce or revenue to the ports of one state over those of another, nor shall vessels bound to or from one state be obliged to enter, clear, or pay duties to another. No money shall be drawn from the treasury, but in consequence of appropriations made by law, and a regular statement and account of the receipts and expenditures of all public money shall be published from time to time. And if you are familiar with Doge, whether you like them or not, that's been one of the problems that they've had. These things haven't been published, at least not in a timely or very organized fashion. No title of nobility shall be granted by the United States. So you can't be the Duke of Tonkawa, sadly. And no person holding any office or profit or trust under them shall, without the consent of the Congress, accept of any present emolument, office, or title of any kind whatever from any king, prince, or foreign state. Now, I will just not comment on that for now. I'm kind of in a rush. Sorry. Section 10, no state shall enter into any treaty, alliance, or confederation, grant letters of marque and reprisal, coin money, emit bills of credit, make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debts, pass any bill of attainder, ex post facto law, or law impairing the obligations of contracts, or grant any title of nobility. Now, I tend to be very libertarian. This is one place where I actually diverge from the standard libertarian. Standard libertarian will tell you that this means that paper money is unconstitutional. I disagree with that. I understand the reasoning. I do. But I don't think that anyone ever read this to mean that paper money was against the Constitution until fairly recently, because we've been printing paper money since I believe since 1776. So if they had intended for that to invalidate paper money, they would have stopped printing it. I know that there's lots of arguments for and against paper money. I don't want to dive into that now. But this is one of the very few times when I actually do beg to differ with my libertarian compatriots. No state shall, without the consent of the Congress, lay any imposts or duties on imports or exports except what may be absolutely necessary for executing its inspection laws. And the net produce of all duties and imposts laid by any state or imports or exports shall be for the use of the Treasury of the United States. And all such laws shall be subject to the revision and control of the Congress. No state shall, without the consent of Congress, lay any duty of tonnage, keep troops or ships of war in time of peace, enter into any agreement or compact with another state or the foreign power, or engage in war unless actually invaded or in such imminent danger as will not admit of delay. So that is Article 1. To the Founding Fathers, this was supposed to be the most important and the most powerful of the branches was the legislature. Congress and Senate were supposed to be the thing. And we've gotten to where they're very much not. It's very much the president. And that is a discussion for another day. I'm going to get caught up in the chat. And then I'm going to try to quickly thank and promote everybody and call it a stream. The monarch Booger says, could also declare law. That is correct. Our republic requires bills to start in the legislature. Correct. This is why I have so much issue, even though I agree with a lot of the actions Trump has taken, I still do not like all these executive orders. I get the other side does it too, so I'm not going to hop up and down about it, but it's supposed to be the legislature that's making our laws, and it's not. And that has been a big part of the problem, I think. Booger says, in my state, there's no law against counterfeiting because of that. Such matters are purely federal. Right on. Booger, no state should ever be able to claim ownership over the national capital. I agree. But I do have a very intelligent friend who is trying to persuade me, and he was kind about it. But to me, his reasoning was terrible. Yeah, I know there's a lot of people in Washington, D.C. They still have a voice, one, when it comes to electing the president. Two, they're Washington, D.C. If the power is all there, it's all there. So then if you make them a state as well, then all you're doing is increasing the power of the federal government. Well, no, it's a state. No, it means 2 more senators and at least 1 more congressman that's basically in the pocket of the federal government already, not representing a state. No state should ever be able to claim ownership over the national capital. Booger 414, laws cannot be retroactive, may not be against a single individual. Exactly. This was another one of the problems I had against things that were attempted to be done to Trump. Because of that principle, we had states that tried to just pass laws and make regulations for just the purpose of nailing him. And that's not cool. That's not cool. Now, if you can find that he's broken a law, well, we did. No, you didn't. You had some civil cases. That's different. And it's kind of garbage. Booger 414, no title of nobility except for celebrities, athletes, and politicians. Right. Booger, the imperial presidency is largely due to our lack of teaching civics in school. That is it's not the only part, but I do think that's probably the biggest, or very nearly the biggest chunk of it. All those residents in Washington, D.C. would be held against their will as someone preventing them from moving to a state. I guess so. You know, Trump took over the state, or the law enforcement. So yeah, probably people are going to come out and say, well, he's going to keep them in there. But I need to get going soon because I got to get to work. And I'm going to call it a stream. But at midnight tonight, we are going to be watching Zardoz. And that will be sponsored by John Pontorero. I may just say goodbye instead of promoting everybody because I promoted everybody at the beginning. But thank you very much, John Pontorero, for your generosity. We shall watch Zardoz. Hopefully I can stay awake through it. We'll find out. Lizzie Armstrong, thank you very much. Always love to see your commentary in here. Charlotte Nightstar the Werewolf, she's probably streaming now or about to. So feel free to go over there if you would like. I sadly would be going to work. PvP, welcome. Thank you for being in here, for all the kind information and comments. Connie Cleary, thank you very much for all the smooth moderation. Big Al Presents, thank you very much. Very first person to ever be in one of my live streams chatting. Poor guy didn't know what he was getting himself into, but he's a wonderful human being. Check him out. Be Yourself Adventures, Larry. We are praying for you, praying for a complete recovery, a quick recovery. You are in God's hands. PvP, PvP, PvP. Who else was in here? There were a lot of people in here. Enigma Severus, teacher extraordinaire. Curtis is exploring the Constitution so he can overthrow things. Yes, we want a government by tired blogging. Gorilla's Random Thoughts, Kapla. Glory to you and your house. Check out that wonderful creator. He never did tell me what he said that was censored. Makes me wonder. I hope he's okay. Hope YouTube didn't really. The YouTube police have got him. Look at that. John Pontarero, 99 cents. 99 cents. 99 cents. Look at that. That's just amazing. God bless you, sir. Please, God, send that back to him 10, 100, 1,000-fold. Sci-Fi Sith Dan, welcome. Thank you for the kind comment and for your support of the community. Resla Germ, I concur. I know it's not a popular position, but I concur. We need to at least get back to something like that for the Senate. Scooby, and Booger. Thank you for your very intelligent comments added to the commentary. Alrighty. Thank you from Lizzie. Love to Cassie. Booger, thanking for the stream. Hello, Suzanne. Meet you all the way. Susanna, yeah. I am so glad to see you. We are about to end this stream, but God bless you for being here. Thank you. Chat's been fun. Enigma, take care on the prairie. And love to Suzanne. Indeed, love to Suzanne. All right, I don't think I'm going to go through my usual spiel. Just know you're bright enough, you're strong enough, you're smart enough to run your own life. You don't need a big government. You don't need a big corporation, big anything telling you how to run your life. I hope you all have a wonderful evening. I'll hopefully see some of you at midnight for the Tired Blogger presentation of Zardoz. Paid for and sponsored by John Pontarero. God bless you all. Have a wonderful evening. Spoon!